Because China's 5th-generation Basic War 20 is backward enough, it will directly showcase its capabilities to the public at close range in 2022, fearing other countries may not see details clearly, and without considering confidentiality. By early 2024, CCTV even publicly exposed the real scene of G20 production line, shocking public opinion both home and abroad. Who dares reveal details like this? By late 2024, China's 6th-generation aircraft will fly openly in residential areas, and the world will face evil. Why was it revealed before? With so many details, it turns out that he has taken a backseat to the second line. He is already a generation behind the most advanced aircraft, so it can be exposed. However, the G20 is a 5th-generation aircraft outside China, and it is the most advanced anywhere in China. Here it has actually become a backward second-line aircraft. Fighter jets, but what we are talking about today is not about the backwardness of the G20, but about fighter jets for the Chinese. It is an ancient name, so ancient that it is almost used in China. It is a backward fighter with backward fighter power, yet a highly advanced main battle aircraft outside China. Although the G20 has lagged behind in China because the G20 is the agent of Zhengba Beijing, any country in the world other than the 5 permanent members will cause an imbalance in regional combat power. Hence, we will not sell the G20 if it is lagging. Currently, the top-angle aircraft exported by China is the T-10 class. In December 2021, Pakistan decided to purchase 3 from China. The total amount is US $1.5 billion, including the complete set of radars and missiles. Pakistan pays about US $55 million for each 10 CE. In about a year, Pakistan received 14 plus 10 CEs and 25 CEs in about 2 years. Calculated at this rate, it is estimated that all Western-led international entertainment have been delivered this year. It looks down on China's aircraft. Countries like India and even China's shoulders are looked down on. In 2016, India and France signed an agreement and successfully purchased. There are 316 most advanced Rafale fighter jets, with a total value of $8.8 billion and a spiral base price of $1.6 billion, plus weapons and supporting equipment, each costing $244 million. You can purchase almost 5 Rafale aircraft, accounting for 10.4 billion yuan. Not only are they expensive, but they will be delivered within a year. France's Rafale fighter jets are delivered slowly and are expensive, but because of their strong performance, they are Europe's strongest fighter jets and internationally recognized 4th-generation fighter jets, second only to China's G20 and the 5th-generation fighter jets in the United States. Of course, this is an international worker, and India doesn't think so. India believes that the Rafale fighter can beat China's G20. Pakistan's purchase is to defend against India's Rafale fighter. The purchase of Rafale fighter jets is not to deal with Pakistan, but to deal with India in 2020. Retired Air Force members said that G20 can only be regarded as 3.5 generation fighter at most, while former Indian Air Force Division Bhadoria said, August can deal with 5 wars. Before 2025, what was hot on the internet was never whether Jianxi could defeat Zhenfeng, but whether Jian 20 could defeat Zhenfeng 20, and Zhenfeng could only form public opinion. If it can cause controversy, it means that there is no evidence that everyone is speechless to prove which one is stronger. As for the J-10's purchased by Pakistan, they are only cheaper. No one expected these aircraft to threaten WO's top fighters G20 and Rafale. There is no actual combat to prove that the change can produce a result, but I insisted on fighting with the front fighter in actual combat this time. In the early morning of May 7th, India launched a military attack on Pakistan-controlled Kashmir, in which a large number of the most advanced Rafale fighter jets in Europe, which had just arrived, were dispatched to launch airstrikes. In the face of Indian airstrikes, Pakistan could only fight back and engage in fierce air battle with Indian warplanes. In this battle, Pakistan dispatched a total of 1 fighter plane, of which the main attack force was the newly purchased 7 Fighter 1CE, and the remaining 4 old fighter planes were used to relocate and disrupt. India dispatched a total of 14 fighter jets, including 2 Su-30s, 2 MiG-29s, 2 MiG-20s, and 18 Rafales. This is an all-round air battle. The ground air defense forces and fighters in the air of both sides are in actual combat in an absolute sense because the time and venue of the battle are all chosen. Theoretically, India has the advantage of holding power first. However, India, which passively deploys aircraft and air defense forces to attack first, has an obvious advantage. Judging from the number of aircraft fighting, India does not underestimate the enemy. The number of aircraft dispatched and the quality of paper are far higher than those of Pakistan. The Mi-9 is a 4th-generation fighter, and the F-6 fighter of the United States dispatched 2 jets at the same level. The Su-30 is a 4th-generation fighter, and the Rafale fighter of France dispatched 2 jets at the same level. Only MiG. First, the second-generation aircraft is an old fighter expected to cause disruption. However, Pakistan has only 7 CE aircraft and its opponent is 2 + 2 + 8, totaling 12 Eurofighters. Even excluding the 4th-generation aircraft, there are still 10 Rafale-class fighters. The Indian military will never think that the Rafale and Su-3 cannot beat the 10 CE. Even so, they leave the aircraft with an advantageous number. The military staff decision-making is unquestionable. There's even a wasteful thread of murderous knives. At 7:238 a.m., the Air Force dropped 5 Indian fighter jets. 2 previously recorded were confirmed to be Rafale fighter jets, and then a new Su-301 Kanglu drone and a MiG-29 were added at 8:27 a.m. After recording a Rafale fighter jet, the Indian Air Force gave up the battle and was retreated. The Indian Air Force lost a total of 6 fighter jets. The Pakistan Air Force suffered 0 casualties and 5 aircraft were recorded since the Kagudi air battle in 1982. This is the battle where the human world sends the most fighter planes at one time, and theoretically, the martyr side is both the superior side and the inferior side. And it's still 0 profit and loss. For the important results announced by Pakistan, face-saving India didn't want to admit it, but it finally admitted it, because there was no way that after the fighter plane was hit, the fragments that fell were discovered by a large number of residents and photographed online. This is the first practice since the construction of China's modern Air Force, and it is also a solid first practice. It is 6-0, and the record is the top Rafale fighter in Europe and the Rafale Su. At 3 o'clock, it strongly responded that China's modern fighter planes have not been practiced. Doubts about combat effectiveness are hard to say. Starting from today, if a Rafale matches my J-20 and other strange talks, you can draw a repair suit. If the Rafale is a stuff, don't touch this button 20. Prepare for the fairy hand first. Airstrike. As a result, Jian, who was launched by a police plane to fight back on the battlefield he predicted, scored 0-6. How can such a plane be embarrassed to compete with the G2? The fighter jets of the highest level in the Russian and European aviation industries were directly blown up by Kenshi, an aircraft that had been eliminated from the first line, or even from the second line. Russia is so cold, there is no business to do anyway, but after France has suffered a big loss, it is impossible to buy this kind of Rafale fighter. It will meet and be slow, but the arrow power is still the same. Either people can't do it, if planes can't do it, there is always one that can't do it anyway, otherwise it won't be 0-6. Then, after half a century of development, India is indeed no longer India in 1962, but India now is India in 2025, which will form a new name in the coming century.